Woo, woo. Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Go Long Live. I am your host, Very Long, the second, not the first, not the third. We are live from Radio Row, y'all. Live from Radio Row here at the LA Convention Center. It is an amazing atmosphere. Met countless celebrities today. Rudy Reyes, my co-host, who I'll bring in here shortly, will be joining me tomorrow, and we're gonna get a lot more footage and just a crazy and wonderful experience to be here at the Super Bowl Radio Row. Without any further ado, let me bring in my main man, Rudy Ramon Reyes. Rudy, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? It is blasting. When I was there yesterday, it was absolutely fantastic. The feeling, the people, the dynamics, it was just off the chart. A lot of people, very busy place at LA Convention Center.
Yes, and doing great for the economy around here too. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this economy out here, but yeah, man. Just they got the fan experience, Super Bowl experience. They've got a lot of stuff going down at SoFi coming up.
Shop as well. I was kind of there. I kind of dived in a little bit of that myself. I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely.
No, it was fun. It was a long line. It was real busy, but of course everybody had to wear their masks. So
yeah, for sure.
6 feet apart, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I got my mask on right here, but had to show my ugly mug for a minute. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about, of course, Super Bowl. We got Captain Defense who's going to be joining us shortly. We also are going to talk about some moves that have just been recently made in the NBA. We've got a trade from the Pacers and the Sacramento Kings we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some of these coaching hires that we have, Lovie Smith, Mike McDaniel, Dennis Allen. We're going to talk about Alvin Kamara. We've got to talk about Alvin Kamara. And, of course, we're going to talk about Trevor Bauer. But let's go ahead and see. We got some comments already. We've got Today's California commenting. That is Barry Long the First. My father is tuning in. He said, "Be Beach in the bowl." So shout out. I'm from Virginia Beach. And Bill Senso says, "Hi, Barry and Rudy." Let's go ahead and bring in our main guy, Captain Defense, who joins us quite a bit. He's a friend of the show. Captain Defense, how you doing, boss?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm reporting for duty for your show, man. I'm reporting.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. We appreciate it, Rudy and I.
Thank you very much.
So Captain Defense, you've been to the Super Bowl before, lots of times, right?
Yes.
All right. So what was your favorite Super Bowl experience that you've had since you became a celebrity?
Oh, I'm not a celebrity, but anyway, I
say that modestly.
Yes, I went to the Atlanta Super Bowl. It was the Atlanta and the Patriots a couple of years ago, and the coolest thing about that is we had a function where we met the head of officials that we could ask them some questions, and I got to go on the field. And that was pretty cool. Got to go on the field next to the Rams bench and take some pictures down there. And met a lot of people down there. And that was the first stadium that I've ever been to where you get free refills on sodas.
Hey, I went into the hospitality room, man.
Is that the memory?
Yeah,
Drinking the soda? Is that the memory getting the soda?
No, going on the field and talking to the head of officials. That was and I met
that is absolutely awesome.
Coaches down there.
Just to piggyback on the free sodas real quick. So I went to the hospitality room, and the vending machines, it's free sodas. You just push the button, and it comes out.
Okay, well, I'm not at that level.
Barry's favorite memory of being on Radio Row.
Absolutely. And I need to start drinking soda.
I'm not a soda guy, so.
Yeah, going on the field was quite a memory.
Well, I am. But I'm giving soda up. So Captain Defense, what about the Ravens, man? How you feeling? Because I'm seeing all these former players around here. Barry Sanders, that's Eric Dickerson, that's some younger former players as well. But I don't see no Ravens out here, man. We need some Ravens out here. I'm waiting for Ray Lewis to pop up.
Ray Lewis ain't out there?
He'll probably be out here tomorrow.
My man Ed Reed should be out there.
Ed Reed should be out here somewhere around. Yeah, I'm gonna find him. Trust me, I'm gonna find him.
You never know. He could walk right by. You don't have to grab him in for a conversation.
Yeah, he probably got his famous cigar. You'll see him walking around.
I think it's
my Ravens would be out there.
Like to be wrong.
Absolutely.
We'll see. There could be some showing up tomorrow. Speaking of showing up, I will be there tomorrow in person, in the flesh, and we're going to do a show from there as well. So it's going to be fun, going to be exciting. Get to meet up with a lot of constituents as well, doing some networking. So, Captain Defense, thanks, man, for joining the show. Any other Super Bowl memories you might have?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I went to the Super Bowl. The Ravens were there when the lights went out for third. I was there. The coolest thing about that was You know, we sitting there, as you remember the game, I mean, we had the momentum. We were going. All of a sudden, the lights went out. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
It's a setup.
It can't be happening. I'm sitting up in the seats, but it was pretty cool. And then the Ravens finally ran, and so I got to go right on the first deck and let the confetti fall on me. And there's nothing better than that, letting confetti fall on you. You've been a fan. You've been through the good times and the bad times. So that was a pretty awesome experience.
And it felt good.
I personally have yet to go to a Super Bowl, to be honest with you. I've yet to go to a Super Bowl.
You have yet to go to a Super Bowl.
I've yet to go. I'm in media. I get to do what Barry's doing. I'm talking to people that where I don't have a chance to go. But I have a special memory of the Super Bowl. I remember watching, and I recall that game as well, Captain Defense, when those lights went out and everything just kind of stopped. The football world stopped. Everybody was in shock. But my favorite memory was James Harrison's interception of Kurt Warner to run it back for a 99-yard return for a touchdown. Out of gas, nothing left in the tank, hitting pay dirt as his helmet skids over the white line. They reviewed it quite a few times, but that was a touchdown for Pittsburgh. So for me, that was fantastic. Of course, James Harrison went on to retire, but fantastic memory. I'll never forget it.
The thing about that one I remember is he had some good blocking going down there. He had a good blocking. I remember that.
Yep, he sure did. And the only other one I would have is Santonio Holmes from Ben Roethlisberger with a tippy toe dance in the corner of the end zone. It was fantastic to see that catch. Was it more on the throw or more on the catch? I don't know. It just depends on who you ask.
Well, it had to be 50-50, man. Ben could only put it at one place. There were, 3 DBs there? And there were 3 DBs there. Ben put it. You know, the chances of that happening again is to me, that's one of the best catches in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Well, there's nothing like that confetti falling. Before we let you go, Captain of Defense, let us know, who do you think the confetti is going to fall for this Super Bowl Sunday?
I think it's going to fall on the Cincinnati Bengals.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we got Burrow fever.
I've learned nothing else about the Super Bowl. Sometimes you got to have a little luck, right? I mean, who gets sacked 9 times and still win the game? I've never heard of that before. And I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to mission, and I think they're going to cover. They're going to cover Chase, but I think the tight end is going to have a big game, and I think Joe Mixon is going to have 135 all-purpose yards. He's going to catch 3 passes for about 30 yards.
Wow, I can definitely see that happening.
It's going to be a good one. Thank you, Captain Defense. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Right. I think one more thing: the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat them because they're going to run that heavy package. Baby, I'm putting the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, we're gonna make a side bet. I'll text you. We'll make a side bet.
Okay. Don't duck out. Don't let me not hear from you.
I will.
I'll hunt you down, buddy. I'll hunt you down.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for joining us, Captain Defense.
Hey, I appreciate it. And you guys enjoy the show. Okay, bye.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care. Man, fantastic stuff from Captain. I want to call him Captain D. I don't want to Captain Defense, but Captain Defense.
I prefer not to call him Captain D.
Maybe his first name, but I don't think he wants to be called that.
Yeah. I'll just leave that at that. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com, today'scanada.com. I am Barry Long II. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes. He will be here right next to me at Radio Row, and I'm just so thankful for this opportunity. But let's jump into some of the news that we've gotten. The first one we want to talk about is Alvin Kamara. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about Alvin Kamara. Of course, we know he was arrested for battery. With sustaining, heavily bodily damage in Las Vegas following an altercation on an elevator with he and his boys, and they were accused of kicking a man while he was down. They fractured his orbital bone. It's been a lot. It's just a rough situation going on in Vegas. What are your thoughts on Alvin Kamara and this battery charge?
Well, it's going to be put under the NFL microscope, as we always expect that it actually will be. I think more importantly, he was hit with just more than one battery. He was hit with 3 different battery types, right? We have the D cell, we have the 120 cell, we have the battery in a vehicle, that carries a larger weight. He was hit with multiple batteries at the same time. Sad enough for him. He's not going to do very well. I hope he recovers, hope he pulls through, but I think Alvin Kamara, this is just a poor poor decision to take his frustrations out on a guy who clearly may have been intoxicated. Maybe there's more to the report that we don't really know about, but this will violate clearly the conduct policy for Alvin Kamara. As far as the other two gentlemen that were with him, again, very poor judgment in regards to not letting someone get under your skin and just jumping in because your boy, is with you in the elevator, who's obviously was part of the All-Star game, aka NFC versus the NFC Pro Bowl there in Vegas. This should not be tolerated at all. It's not as if he didn't have a great season, but he did. But the more of an issue that I have with this is that when you look at the guy's harm, his physicality, the types of things. I mean, Alvin Kamara is no pushover. The guy's got guns the size of, a grenade launcher. I mean, the guy certainly could control himself
to a
point. Yeah, exactly. He's got some bazookas, and the last thing you want to deal with is being on the other end of that. But again, Alvin Kamara needs to be more than held accountable. He could face not only NFL and league violations, but also brought up on charges. And the gentleman who is now clinging to dear life with a broken orbital bone will try to concoct something in regards to charges against Alvin Kamara and his two cohorts. So this is a black eye for Alvin Kamara. It's a black eye, could carry over a 6-game suspension into the next season for the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they just acquired a brand new head coach for the Saints. Yep, absolutely. And what better person? But now he has something to deal with as well, not only from a defensive standpoint, but from a head coaching standpoint when it comes to Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, and the thing about Alvin Kamara is, when I saw that the orbital bone was broken and this just the increased charges, it automatically made me think that this guy's gonna have to pay a pretty penny, for those legal fees, as well as
Sure.
the stuff that's gonna happen to him as far as suspensions is concerned, and just the team. You feel bad for the New Orleans Saints fans because they lost Sean Payton to retirement. They lost Drew Brees last year, and Jameis Winston. They thought that they had a new quarterback that was going to be stable in that offense for years to come. He goes out with a terrible injury. It's just been a lot. Now it's been a lot for the Saints fans. But you did mention Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was just recently promoted. He was promoted from the defensive coordinator to the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and he is the defensive-minded head coach. That basically is the leader of that defense, controlling that defense. And the defense has been great for the last couple of years that he's been overseeing it. Dennis Allen doesn't really have a great record as a head coach in this league. I mean, he coached for the Raiders. He's 8-28 as a head coach, but he did not have the greatest team. But my concern with the Saints right now is what are they seriously going to do with this quarterback position? Jameis Winston, don't know if he's going to come back, healthy fully. Ian Book was out there. I felt so terrible for Ian Book and his family that game. I mean, his first NFL start, and it went that terribly. Taysom Hill. So we just don't know what they're going to be doing as far as the quarterback position is concerned. And of course, they're probably going to lose Alvin Kamara for 6 games, like you mentioned.
Sure. No, I can only imagine what they're going to do. Obviously, the NFL draft is happening in April, so I believe that with their pick, they're certainly going to find a QB, maybe some low-hanging fruit, perhaps pulling another free agent. I don't know that Jameis Winston is the guy there in New Orleans, despite trying to make a career comeback after, obviously not even going 500 with the Buccaneers a year prior. And, of course, with Tom Brady's entrance, certainly put him on the fringe. And with Drew Brees retiring, certainly brought up the question, well, what are we going to do? And you pull in a guy just like him and say, well, you got the ball. You have the choice to play, not want to be here or be here. And I think he did an absolutely better job than he had done previously with the Buccaneers. The problem that I have is Taysom Hill, a guy they had just essentially extended just as an insurance policy because the guy is a weapon. Why I didn't see a 2-quarterback set with Taysom Hill being the, kind of the outside tight end or maybe the halfback or whatever the case might be. I really think that could have certainly put them in a better situation offensively when you have more weapons out on the field to confuse the defense. But it's really unclear what they're going to do with the guy under center this upcoming season.
Absolutely. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com. We are live on today'scanada.com. Please comment and let us know what you think about Alvin Kamara's situation. We would love to pop your comments on the screen. Much like Craig Campbell, he said earlier that he watched Washington beat Elway and the Broncos in San Diego. Super Bowl memories. Appreciate that for sure. Now, we've seen some other moves that have come out in the NFL. And we know that Brian Flores was fired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. It's been widely circulating, and everyone knows about the lawsuit. He's suing 3 NFL teams, including the NFL itself. And they went and hired a guy, and Mike McDaniel. And a lot of people who don't know who this guy is, he's been in the league for a long, long time, since 2005. Started off as an intern and worked his way all the way up to head coach. Now, with the whole, firing of Brian Flores and the allegations that he's making as far as the racial discrimination is concerning, the Miami Dolphins felt the need to tell us that Mike McDaniel he's a minority as well. He identifies as a mixed breed. So, they are acquiescing in somewhat to bringing in a minority. Although it might not be as good as what other people think, but this guy has had a lot of leadership, a lot of leaders in this league that are good head coaches right now, and he comes from a good coaching tree. The Kyle Shanahan's guy, and I really do think that this is maybe an outside the box kind of hire, but I think that this could actually turn out pretty well for them. What do you think about Mike McDaniel, Rudy?
It's almost as if when you first look at him, with just first glance, you want to ask him for help at the Apple store. I'm just saying. When you think of Mike McDaniel, you think of a guy who is smart enough to fix your iPhone. No, seriously, Mike McDaniel was probably the most out-of-box hire that I've seen in recent memory. I mean, you look at the Texans, they're going to hire Josh McCown. Really? No head coaching experience whatsoever, jumping from never winning a title either, so that's not under his belt. He's played for how many NFL teams? So they went with the obvious choice. He has done so much for San Francisco. He's been the offensive genius behind where they had gone to, and the types and the ways they were using Mostert, and they're using Deebo Samuels, and just the offensive scheme in general. He's a very cerebral guy, and to take nothing away from anything that he has done. And believe me, when I see him in person, I'm not going to ask him to fix my iPhone. But
he doesn't look like the typical.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't look like a typical hire. Yeah, he's not even the guy you would see at someone's backyard barbecue. I mean, he's just not that kind of guy. But because he's so intelligent and so cerebral, started at the bottom, and basically found his calling. He could go do something else. He could have gone and done anything else that he wanted. But the fact that he was inches close to a Super Bowl berth was just absolutely amazing. They ranked 13th overall in the NFL in offense. So you have to look at that and weigh that out and say, well, we've been kind of struggling offensively. Tua may or may not be that guy. We've talked about that before on Go Long Live. And I think more importantly, I think this was a good hire, to be quite honest with you. Whether or not he doesn't look like a head coach or he does look like a head coach, he certainly has his work cut out for him there in Miami. And Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, certainly likes this guy. Obviously, he wouldn't have hired him if he didn't. But I think more importantly, he looked at what he had done, looked at the schemes, did his homework in regards to this hire. I think it was great. We're going to find out what they're going to do with Tua under center. If the trade rumors are always surrounding the Dolphins for whatever reason, even under Brian Flores for that matter. And to go back to your point about Brian Flores, I think more importantly, when you look at Brian Flores, he could have been upset. He could have been very upset. He could have been mad. He could have been furious. But the bottom line is that, and we talked about this before, the fact that he is suing the NFL and 3 other teams that interviewed him certainly speaks to why he did not get hired for the Houston Texans. Now, we can speculate all day long, but the bottom line is that I believe Lovie Smith switching to the Texans was probably the best thing he could have done. Now, this is not a cakewalk for Brian Flores. He has his work cut out for him with a team that's in desperate need of A, leadership, B, direction, and C, some of the bad players out of the building and send them to unemployment or trade them off as trade pieces in order to get something back from them. So I believe Lovie Smith, who just absolutely deserves an opportunity, needed an opportunity, and well, he got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovie Smith, you're referring to Lovie Smith being hired as the Texans head coach, and Brian Flores had some reaction. He came out and he said that this is a direct result of his lawsuit, and whether or not you think that Lovie Smith is
So he's taking credit.
Yeah, he's taking credit. He's taking credit.
He's taking credit. Okay. I don't know how
Brian
he could
Flores
do that. He didn't even save his own job. Just saying.
It's just one of those things where it's the NFL, and he's stepping out there on the plank, and he's out there stepping out on faith.
It's a short one. It's a short one.
It's a very short one. It's not for long.
It's short. You have someone poking you with a football, pretending it's a sword, making you walk off that plank.
I love
We're gonna find
that
out.
beard. I love that beard from Lovie Smith. A pun intended.
I would fight next to him. I'll put it this way: if me and him were at Starbucks at the same exact time, I would let him go just because of the beard.
Yeah,
he could cut me off because of the beard. The beard has its own zip code,
and it looked good too when it was coming in with the salt and pepper
all
back in
trim,
Chicago. Yeah. I mean,
super gray. Well,
he's just got so much
they
swag,
wanted
right?
to turn back time, and the internet's undefeated. Well, they guess they found Father Time.
Absolutely. Now, Lovie Smith comes to the Texans after spending 5 years with the Illinois Illini as the head coach of that team in the college football. He also, of course, we know he spent so many years with Chicago. He went through Jay Cutler. He had Rex Grossman, who was playing Grossman, but got him to a Super Bowl. And of course, we know he lost to the Indianapolis Colts. But Lovie Smith is somebody that's had a lot of success in this league. And although his coaching record is 89 and 87, he's just above 500. I feel like there a lot of those losses came from bad teams.
Sure, absolutely. And to further this point in regards to Lovie Smith, he's not the only African American guy who's being interviewed. Well, let's just say Lovie's already been hired, but the other gentleman who's being interviewed, and I have tons of respect for, is Louis Riddick for the Steelers. Yes. Now that you see a general manager, Kevin Colbert, being sent off to pasture and retiring. I think Louis Riddick did a fantastic job with the Eagles when he was with them. From a draft perspective, he's disagreed with people here and there, and he marches to the beat of his own drum. So I believe that if for some reason he does get the job, and the Steelers obviously like to promote and hire from within, I believe Louis Riddick is the guy for the job. I'll be honest with you, he would work great next to Mike Tomlin. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Absolutely.
And I think that would just be the poison for the AFC North following. If for some reason they do hire Louis Riddick, I think it'd be a fantastic move for Pittsburgh to get a guy who's just such a cerebral individual, a lot like a Mike Daniels, and maybe a pinch of Lovie Smith, who's very respected in the industry. I believe this is a fantastic hire / interview if in fact the Steelers do go ahead and hire Louis Riddick. But I can't think of anybody else who would be more fitting to follow Kevin Colbert's shoes and a guy like Louis Riddick.
And Kevin Colbert did a wonderful job as a GM. I mean, you look at all the draft picks, you look at going out and acquiring a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's done a wonderful job. And I do agree with you. I love me some Louis Riddick. And he does it. Not only does he do a great job on the broadcast for Monday Night Football, along with Brian Greasy and Steve Levy, but he also is just a cerebral guy when it comes to his analysis of breaking down teams and being that general manager kind of spokesperson on ESPN. And I think that he's been, he's had a lot of interviews, and it's time for somebody to pull that trigger and allow this man to run a franchise and really pick these players. Love the fact that he's being tapped for that.
And not only that, but he's a former Pitt Panther, so it would just kind of make sense to get an alum in there as well. And if I was Louis Riddick, and let's just say a quarterback by the name of Kenny Pickett decides to float along, another Pitt alum, that could be something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm reaching too deep in the bag, but it could be the bag of Skittles. I'm not sure. Oh
gosh! Speaking of the bag of Skittles, we're going to talk about that trade later on here in the second half of the show. We got breaking news that the Pacers and the Sacramento Kings have just made a trade, so we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, we are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'scalifornia.com, today'scanada.com. We are coming to you live from Radio Row and Rudy Reyes. is my co-host right now, joining me, and I am Beryl on the second. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, everybody for commenting. Got a lot of wonderful comments. Maria Lascuna, she says, "Look wonderful, guys. Reporting from Radio Row. Awesome. We love it." My mama's in here. My mama's in here. That's Don Tremble. Beanie Long. She says Beanie is here. So shout out to Mom. Kurt Campbell is here as well.
Howdy, Mom.
Do you agree with me? Yeah. hey,
the under point spread. No. You only have one mama. You may as well love her. As far as a point spread, I'm kind of on the fence on it, to be honest with you. I'm not really a gambling guy, but I think that the Bengals can cover the spread. Maybe barely, but I think they'll be able to cover the spread. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a betting guy, but I think the Bengals should very well cover that for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with you fully. And we got some more comments. A lot of people tuning in today. We'll start with this breaking news.
Yeah, Radio Row. Why not? Come on now.
I've been holding out for y'all for a while because I wanted to get to Trevor Bauer, but we've got an hour. We're now an hour a day right here on CoachellaValley.com, today's California.com, today's Canada.com. So let's just get down to the breaking news. We've got a trade in the NBA. And the trade is between the 13th in the East, Indiana Pacers, and the 13th in the West, Sacramento Kings. And the Sacramento Princesses, I like to call them, because it's been a long time since they've been Kings. But the Pacers are going to send Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and for Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. Now, both of these teams are 13th in their respectable conferences, so I don't really expect either one of these moves to move the needle for them. I do like Buddy Hield getting out of that environment of Sacramento. Of course, we know that he was on the trade block, or he was also being considered to be traded to the Lakers because LeBron needs more shooting. But I like to see Buddy Hield in a different environment. But yeah, this trade was. What do you think about the trade, Rudy? before I snap.
There's actually a lot to like and a lot to not like. I mean, you're sending Sabonis, a guy who's not necessarily a team leader, over to the over to Sacramento, where he's not going to be the guy. I mean, he's good at defense, not great. He's not great in any category. And to be honest with you, even though they did get him, he's not. You can't build a team surrounding Sabonis. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. But when you look at Holiday's 32, he has a deal still running through next year. Lamb's contract set to expire as well. So whether or not the Pacers see enough value in revitalizing that contract, that remains to be seen. I guess it depends on performance, as it always should, right? Not being a cancer in the locker room, your performance on the court, and being able to, perform the way you should, the way you have to. I just think the Pacers get a little bit more. I think Sacramento traded them with a fresh bag of Skittles and some M&M peanuts. I just
a ham sandwich is what I like to say, Rudy.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I mean, you get them with a bag of Doritos because it's not your year when you're talking about the Sacramento Kings, because it's not. It's truly not.
Is that your favorite? Is that your favorite flavor of Doritos?
Absolutely. I love Cool Ranch. Are you kidding me? Okay. Yeah, it's not
Cool Ranch
year. Special edition, Root Dog Special, take your pick. But, I look at the coupling with that Karis LeVert trade. I think Indy just knocked it out of the park with that trade alone. But I think Sacramento will be able to do something with Sabonis. I think they're going to get, a little bit of tread out of these guys. More importantly, if you're a Kings fan, I'm not a Kings fan, but if you're a Kings fan, you're probably scratching your head and saying, huh? What? Did that just happen? Are we serious now? Or are we from 20 and 35, are we going to move up and get into the NBA playoffs? Not likely. I don't see this going anywhere but south from here. Now, again, like I said, Sabonis is good. He's not that guy. But you don't have, and I'll put it this way. When you look at the next 2 years over, there's no way you're going to find Sabonis on the roster, Halliburton on the roster either, because Sacramento's not going to be able to afford these guys if they're going to want more money, obviously, because they are performing well, right? Because their performance bonuses, there's a regular salary, and whether or not these guys can help Sacramento out of this horrible slump, having an identical record. This was like at par trade. to be honest with you. But I think the Pacers can do a lot more with the trade than I think Sacramento can. It just, I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't look as though this was the smartest trade for Sacramento. But I think the Pacers will probably get somewhere between an A- or B for this trade because of what they get in lieu of. So I don't know. It just depends on what side of the fence that you're on. If you're playing offense or maybe defense, we'll see.
Yeah, and you had to know that Buddy Hield. I believe he's the most important piece of this trade going to Indiana. And Buddy Hield, you had to know that they probably weren't going to trade him to a Western Conference team. They didn't trade him to the Lakers, and so they wanted to, if he wants to be out of town, then they ship him to Indiana. And I think that the Indiana will get a little bit better, a little bit. I'm not sure that this puts them in the playoffs at all. As well as the Kings, they got a little bit worse, in my opinion. So we're going to see more trades that are going to trickle down that wire, and we'll see some guys that are that we might.
There's only a few days left.
Only a few days left.
There's only a few days left till the NBA trade deadline is finished and finalized.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see what the Lakers are going to make a move for, or what they're going to do as far as Russell Westbrook is concerned, because the rumors are out there, and AD rumors. There's a lot of fans that want AD gone as well. So what do you think the Lakers should do, making a move wise before the trade deadline? Is it time to get rid of AD?
We talked about this at length. AD obviously overpaid, can't stay on the court. LeBron James is getting up there in age. I think more importantly, it's about what they can get and not worry about what they currently have in front of them in regards to the growth process, the younger players, the ones that have stepped up, the guys who continue to show what they can do. I still think they get rid of THT and do something with him as well as with Austin Reeves. I just think that those two guys, I think THT is the important component as far as the trade is concerned. Question is who are the takers? Who are the guys on the table? What teams need a guy like THT who's shown up more often than not, and shown up quite more often than Russell Westbrook and even Anthony Davis? So I think the Lakers really need to do something fast because their numbers aren't good. They're not sitting very well in the Western Conference. LeBron James is consistently hurt. So I think the Lakers need to do something now, not tomorrow, now, like before 9 o'clock now.
Yeah, and they're obviously going to have to make a move if they want to make a move up in the standings. But THT, to a lot of fans, and I'm one of those fans that really does not want him to go. I consider him an untouchable. Kind of like he's a fan favorite, a lot like Alex Caruso was in his tenure with the Lakers. I mean, it was just Alex Caruso couldn't walk down the streets in LA.
They should have kept Alex Caruso.
Oh my goodness,
that was a horrible decision.
Horrible.
And look, you've seen former Lakers,
but he had to get his money. He had to go
as well. Yeah, I mean, they all went to their respective places and traded or went to as free agents, and ultimately got their money. They got their money because they got a chip. When you have a chip, it means more than not having one. So
you got a chip, you get the dip.
That's it. You got to get the dip, and it's going to be Cool Ranch.
Absolutely. We've seen, speaking of Lakers, we've seen Lakers go over to the Washington Wizards in the trade for Russell Westbrook. I was hurt when we had to let go of Kuzma. Of course, he was a fan favorite on and off, here in and out, and of course we had to also let go of Montrezl Harrell. And so we see them in Kentavious Caldwell Pope, or Kentavious Caldwell Poop, as I like to call him when he's playing bad. But KCP, Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, Montrezl Harrell, they had the Wizards playing pretty well earlier on in the season. Now they have slipped out of the playoff contention right now. But Bradley Beal, we've just heard that Bradley Beal is going to have season-ending wrist surgery. He's done for the season. And it just comes on a time where he is leading the league in points, which he does most of the time, but he's also leading the league leading his team in assists this season. So he's been balling out, and he's been making other players around him better. And he was widely rumored to be one of those guys that you want to go out and get. If you want to go out and make that splash at the trade deadline, go out and get Bradley Beal. And last year we didn't see anybody go out and make that move for Bradley Beal, but we thought that maybe it would happen this year. Of course, we know that he's got a 5-year, $245 million contract. They have an option next year, $34 million, I believe, is the option, the player option. So this is gonna, kind of throw a monkey wrench into his plans of either moving on or staying there and being successful. What are your thoughts on the Bradley Beal injury?
This could not come in the most untimely of situations when you're talking about the Washington Wizards, who were at once poised to get into the playoffs, to have that contention. Their season never really took off, to be honest with you. They've lost quite a few games in a row. They won a few here and there, lost more games in a row. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, whether they have Beal or not. They don't have any major superstars on that roster. It's almost as if they're a smaller market, but they're not really as small as people think they are, right? We've seen the New Orleans Pelicans get sent a package as well with C.J. McCollum from the Portland Trail Blazers. And you look at that kind of trade package with a first-round NBA pick in next year's NBA draft. So there's a lot of moving pieces Washington really needs to figure out. Beal probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I think they'll hold him over to see if A, he recovers, B, if they're going to be able to build a team around him and not be the team obliterator. We'll talk about the New York Knicks in a minute. But this is just gone from bad to worse. Speaking from bad to worse, the New York Knickerbockers, who has one of the best media coverage in the country, one of the richest teams in the NBA.
Oh yeah,
with blow-ups from their superstars on the sideline. It's been that way. They're the same old Knicks. They are who we thought they were, as I quote Dennis Green, former Cardinals rest in peace head coach, because they are. The Knicks are who they are. They've been that way for a very long time. Just when things are going good and Randall's having a great game and he's winning 3 in a row and he's, the offense is good and he's playing defense on the other end. This is not the case. It's complete disarray right now. And I think it's more about the head coach in Phibbs. I think he's like the emergency backup coach. Yeah. When you can't find a regular coach, you get in Thibbs, because Thibodeau is a guy who always seems to find a way to get himself a head coaching job. He's probably very likable, probably a great guy. Maybe he agrees to get flogged. I mean, I don't really know how he expects to get a head coaching job after this disaster we continue to see coming out of the New York Knicks camp. So from bad to worse for a lot of different teams, and it seems as though there are some that make you scratch your head, and others that just you're kind of on the edge of your seat, wonder if they're going to make a splash in free agency.
Absolutely. And Sean McNeil, my best friend back home, says the Knicks are a bad second half team, and they are. And it's just been rough, man, for Knicks fans for so long. And it's just one of those markets where they should be able to lure free agents like it's nothing. And they've just been mired in mediocrity for so long that that it's really not a desirable destination. And we're gonna have to see some other them go out and make a splash and try to bring some players in that can attract other players, because it's hard when you have an owner like that with that type of reputation. Some of the stuff that he's done, I think that he made some good moves as far as hiring Worldwide West, and I like Thibodeau for the stability and for the defensive genius mind that he is. But you're absolutely, you hit it dead on when you're talking about a guy that just seems like he's the backup head coach. It's like, we can't get him. Call Tibbs.
Coin flip.
Mike Woodson was one of those guys.
But outside of the Knicks organization, as far as the sports, Dan, don't even start with being a D'Antoni. He's a horrible defensive coach, to say the least. But when you look at worst, terrible, most hated, unloved franchises, you either have the Houston Texans, based on how they're handling Deshaun Watson and his allegations that are still pending. We're talking about Trevor Bauer in a minute for the Dodgers. But when you're looking at just horrible ownership and the way that they continue to find themselves in mediocrity, is just absolutely appalling to believe that these guys, that these franchises, these owners can't find a way to get their teams out of the respective garbage can that they find themselves in continuously to become some type of contenders in their respective leagues and or divisions. So it's, again, another head scratcher.
And you know what? Ownership is so important. It's so important. I mean, you look at the franchise like the Clippers, and outside right outside of SoFi Stadium, they're already building the Intuit.com. Building that the Clippers are going to move in 2024. It's a dome, and ultimately they came to Steve Ballmer and he approached him and he bought the team, and it's been uphill ever since, because we know what their ownership was like before when they had Donald Sterling, and they were just terrible. But when you start to bring in a guy that owns a team like Steve Ballmer, that's willing to go out and spend the money to make his team better, then he starts to set this culture that's exciting. Then you see guys, like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they start making these decisions like, hey, I'm going to LA, but I'm not playing for the Lakers. I'm playing for the Clippers because, I believe, wholeheartedly that Steve Ballmer has a big part to do with their decision to be there.
Right. No, when you look at ownership, and I really have to talk about this because this right here should be a no-brainer. When you look at Byron Allen, who's a complete media monster. I mean, the guy has been around a very long time, and the Broncos happen to be on the sale block, and you have an opportunity to purchase the Denver Broncos for the money that they're asking for, and you're a media guru, a tycoon, if you will. Byron Allen is no joke. The guy knows what he's doing, and he is set to purchase the Denver Broncos. Hasn't been sealed, hasn't been signed or delivered, but right now, I mean, and you look at guys like Robert Kraft owning the New England Patriots, and I refer to Robert Kraft outside of the concession stand, also known as Happy Ending. So when you look at the ownership aspect of it, it's really, I don't want to know. I don't care to know. If he dropped a little blue pill, I don't want to know either.
Yeah,
but
he definitely dropped
when you look at Allen, you think to yourself, he's 60 years old. He's been in the media landscape, great at marketing. The guy should be a focal point and should be the first person up to purchase the Denver Broncos. So don't forget, he's African-American, okay? 60-year-old veteran, okay? He's a former comedian. Everybody remembers Byron Allen? Remember the Saturday shows that he used to have on TV? Same Byron Allen. Same guy.
Yeah.
So that should also, and obviously, he was a comedian. He took over for the Tonight Show. This could be the Tonight Show, premiering the Denver Broncos as his new NFL team. Now, I think African Americans and blacks alike, whatever side of the fence that you're on, this is how business should be done. And I guarantee you, if this does come to fruition and Byron Allen does purchase the Denver Broncos, it's the first NFL team to be owned by an African American. How do you like that?
Okay, Rudy.
So that's going to be lit. And I will follow the Broncos if Byron Allen decides to jump on that bandwagon and make something out of it, because he can bring this team back from an ownership standpoint, getting the right pieces in place, hiring the right people to do the right thing for the right reasons. I've said it on the show before, and I'm going to say it again. He is a monster. He owns the Weather Channel and 15 other local network stations. So if he's not the guy, I don't know who is.
Yeah, and it's wonderful, man. And you can only help but think that if he does get this team and becomes the owner, then maybe that will sway Aaron Rodgers, to go over there and be around a great atmosphere and around great energy around that building. We are live on Coachella Valley. Yeah, we'll see. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. Shout out to Craig Campbell for the platform. We appreciate you. We're live on todayscalifornia.com, todayscanada.com. We are also live all over the Twitterverse, Metaverse, Universe, you name it. Now, this hurts me to bring up this story because we're Dodgers fans. We're Dodgers fans, and we bleed blue, and we wear our heart on our sleeves. Trevor Bauer, when this came up, well, this is actually good news, but the original story was terrible news. We heard that Trevor
Depends
Bauer,
on what sides of the end you're on.
Now Trevor Bauer's into some weird things in the bedroom. Okay, that's what I'll say. I'll leave it at that. And look at that face. He looks like he's into some weird stuff in the bedroom. But he was accused from a woman right after signing that big deal with the Dodgers, scheduled to make $88 million over 2 years. It was going to be the ace of that rotation. Even though you have Walker Buehler, you had Clayton Kershaw. Yeah, you've had pieces, but he was supposed to come in and really like surge that pitching rotation, and he didn't last long because he got this woman that went forward to the police, and she said, basically that they had consensual sex the first time, and he went a little too far with some of the stuff that he was doing. I mean, he was accused of punching her in her private parts. He was accused of choking her. I mean, the pictures that we saw on TMZ, they were bad, and it didn't look good for Trevor Bauer. So much so that the Major League Baseball decided, you know what, we're gonna pull this guy and put him on administrative leave. So he didn't get to finish the season with the Dodgers. They pulled the Dodgers also had him, away from the building, and it got really real when he started getting unfollowed by players like Mookie Betts and Chris Taylor and Justin Turner. When they stopped following him on Twitter, it was like, oh God, this is getting real. And of course, we know that they canceled his bobblehead night. But what he was able to do, or what was happening today, that we found out is that despite the allegations, Trevor Bauer will no longer face criminal charges. So we're in a strike right now. We're in a labor work stoppage. So not sure if this is going to really matter in the grand scheme of things if we don't play baseball this season. But ultimately, if you're a Dodgers fan, you got to think, man, maybe we will get to see Trevor Bauer, in a Dodgers uniform again.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe
because Manfred still has the ability to actually suspend him from any further baseball, if there is to be any baseball, any reason to be had this season. But I think more importantly, fans are just completely baffled by this. The photos of her on TMZ could have had, maybe a night of passion that didn't go quite her way. Maybe not the happy ending she was thinking of. I don't know. Trevor Bauer also, I mean, you showed a photo of him, which clearly indicates that there's something going on there behind
he puts
the
the
eyes.
pain in pleasure and pain. He puts the pain in pleasure and pain.
Maybe the LA means less than average. I don't know. There's so much still going on. The investigation by Major League Baseball is still ongoing. Mm-hmm. So that's the fact alone he was able to get that hurdle and jump over it and not be jailed or fined or anything else for that matter does not affect the fact that his social media is being ridiculed. Players unfollowing it, as you mentioned. And I think more importantly, fans are very disgruntled by this whole situation because all they wanted to do was to watch this guy that the Dodgers paid. And I'm sure Magic Johnson's looking in his pockets, pulling out lint right now, wondering where's the $88 million because he has nothing to show for it because Bauer was not on the field for no more than, what was it, a month or two at that?
Yeah.
So he had the ability to just say and scratch his head and think, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, other than to wonder what the Pasadena police is going to do, what Major League Baseball is going to do, and what the organization is going to do. Because again, this is a 3-step hurdle. He passed one, he still has 2 more. So we'll see if he can recover from this, recoup whatever's left of his reputation, and of course, I think more importantly, you have to watch the 7-minute video he called The Truth. And whether or not it's the truth or not, that remains to be seen. Everybody has their own perception of what truth is. But he maintains that he's innocent of it. It was consensual sex, and that's exactly what happened. He's not going to deviate from that from a PR standpoint, nor should he have the ability to deviate from that. And I think that there could be some truth in her version, but if it was not believable by the courts for whatever reason, and I don't condone domestic violence in any way, shape, or form against anybody, man or woman, for that matter.
You say that,
Barry,
say that again.
I'm going to say it. I'll say it 10,000. I'll speak it into existence. I do not condone domestic violence in any way, shape, or form. And you can make that a figure 8 or whatever you want. The bottom line is that now he has the left and remaining hurdles to jump over to determine whether or not he'll stay if for some reason Major League Baseball can unlock their current lockout. Now they only have 2 weeks left in the month in order to make something out of nothing. And right now, Manfred's got his hands full in so many different things, including the MLB lockout. So this is I don't know how much sleep he's getting tonight, but probably not much by my account.
Yeah, and Manfred has been, widely criticized for some of the moves that he's made, and he's been, accused of tightening the seams on the baseballs, and he's just been, trying to make the game more exciting. And some fans like him, some fans don't. But ultimately, what he has done is he has been a strict disciplinarian in certain aspects. I mean, with the steroids and the performance-enhancing drugs, he really wanted to come down hard on them. So they're now, under the threat of 50-game suspensions, 100-game suspensions. So one thing we do know about Rob Manfred is he's going to thoroughly leave no stone unturned, and it should be an interesting outcome to this situation. But now, to be fair for Trevor Bauer, he does maintain that it was consensual sex. They had sex 2 times. Okay, so the average common sense to somebody would say, if a woman felt that she was sexually mistreated in a certain way, then why would she go back for seconds? And we don't know any of those details or intricacies with that. But
Bauer,
with that being said,
it's not till a year.
Yeah,
not till a year for Trevor Bauer, because she went directly to the dip.
Walking around for 40 minutes.
Oh yeah, so, for sure. So we'll see how it turns out. And we've got only time will tell for the Dodgers, and it puts the Dodgers in a very, very tough situation. But
what do you do if you're the organization? Do you suspend him based on what you've seen, what you hear from him? Do you take his ploy if you're the organization? I mean, how do you go about handling this situation if you are the Dodgers? Barry, if you were the Dodgers, what would you do? How would you handle it?
I mean, I would honestly, think that, winning is not everything, especially when it comes to something like this. It depends on all the evidence that's going to come forward, and just because he's not being charged criminally does not mean that something didn't go wrong that, in those 2 encounters. So we're just, if I'm the Dodgers, I let it play out a little bit more, a little bit longer. I don't ultimately move on, because you do owe him so much money, and you want to see how things are going to play out. But he hasn't really been, apologetic or anything. I know that he maintains his innocence, but ultimately, I would let it play out, because Trevor Bauer is such a special talent.
You want to get something out of nothing. You want to get something out of nothing, which is what she was looking for. Magic Johnson was looking for something out of nothing too. But anyway, outside of that, look, the bottom line is this, is that if there is a baseball unlock in regards to whether or not they're going to be able to rise above, come to an agreement. Obviously, they didn't want the mediators involved in the process for whatever reason. I think that the lockout could prove to be maybe a beneficial thing in a lot of different respects. But when you look at where this could be headed from a financial standpoint, they're still at the crossroads, wondering what this looks like. Where's this going? How are we going to get this done? And of course, fans are doing the very same thing, because there are a lot of fans that believe that America's, favorite pastime. And I hate to say it, but it's actually not. Don't tell anybody.
Watch your mouth, Rudy. Watch your mouth. Just joking. No, it's clearly not baseball any longer. But the Dodgers have spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money. And so, we're going to have to see them have to, eat some of that money and kind of sit on their hands when it comes to wanting to sign big players. But they've never, ever been afraid to go out and make a splash. I mean, we lost Trevor Bauer, and they went out and got Max Scherzer on a rental. So it didn't, necessarily net a World Series, but it was very exciting.
They were close.
They were close.
It was very close. It was fun to watch. It really was fun to watch. I think
all the Braves fans.
Yeah. No, the Braves just knocked it out of the park, literally and figuratively. And I take my hats off to what they did the entire season. They were the underdog. They started off kind of lukewarm, but again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And they finished very strong enough to win a World Series. So kudos to them and what they were able to accomplish. I think I'm going to talk some Pirates here for half a second. There was a report I was reading in regards to women. And women in higher positions are now becoming more commonplace, and this should take some type of precedence and have a conversation in regards to their ability to be not only hired but to raise up their own personal situation as well as professional situation by getting promoted. And of course, the Pirates, they decided to upgrade a woman from her current position to make her a president within the organization. So, again, baseball needs to be about diversity. Continue that type of diversity. Show other leagues, NFL, that this is NFL. That this is the way to go. And of course, women are always being talked about in the NFL. There's Jennifer King. There's a ton of women in the NFL. There's also a ton of women, and we've talked about this at length with Dan Snyder and his snide situation with women having to do with the female fatale being his poison. So you have a lot of mixed reviews in regards to women and being in sports, and they should never be made to feel as if they're lesser. They should be the equal. They have the skill set. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they got promoted. So everybody should have that type of mentality when it comes to getting women into more stronger and obviously more direct types of positions within any NFL, NBA, MLS. The situations. Obviously, the WNBA is certainly a prime example of that. All the head coaches there, I think, maybe except for one, I think they're all women head coaches. So certainly we can always attest our own shortfalls and look at people who continually get promoted that are of an ethnic class, but everybody should be based and have their higher ability based on their experience, their not only their mentality but their likability, as well as their ability to do their job. And if you can put all those together, why not?
I second that, Rudy. I definitely do. And Pittsburgh seems to be a leader in this diversity issue, because they're of course the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise is responsible for the Rooney Rule. You've got Pittsburgh Pirates that are out here making moves, hiring women. So it seems like there's something in the water in Pittsburgh.
There definitely is. Well, you have three rivers to choose from, so you have to pick your you got to pick your water.
All right, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to wrap up the show here in just a second, because we got some stuff going on here in Radio Row. But right now, let's get that meme of the day going on right here. It comes to us from NFL Memes IG. Brian Flores said, I got offered $100K per loss. Hugh Jackson says, I got offered $50K per loss. And then you see googly eyes down there. It says, y'all getting paid? And Adam Gates, that was just a terrible run that he had.
Even consider him for an offensive coach. Are you joking? Are you kidding me? Less than 500?
Peyton Manning ought to be ashamed of himself.
Throw daggers at me.
Peyton Manning ought to be ashamed of himself for recommending that guy. No, we love Peyton Manning.
Exactly. Yeah, love you, Peyton.
So real quick, Rudy, let them know where they can find you at. And
well, they're gonna find me on Radio Row tomorrow. That's a fact. That's one place to be able to find me. I'm bringing the heat. I'm gonna bring the heat, and it's gonna be hot at the tip. So Make sure you check me out live on Radio Row tomorrow. You can find me at Reyes on Twitter. Go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn. I'm basically anywhere you can find me. Of course, the RudeDogShow.com will have all these wonderful interviews, conversations with former players, current, as well as Hall of Famers. So stay tuned. Remember, we love it, like it, but never leave it. Please share it.
Please share it. And you can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can also find me on IG at BarryLong_2, or on Facebook, the way it's written right under my face, Barry Long space II. Remember, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and we will. And you're capable of doing anything. So go out and do it. And we will be live from Radio Row tomorrow. Can't wait.